Hi guys and girls, it's Pete, Mindwiseman's channel, aka Maverick Outdoors, and today's the 15th of March and it's on a Saturday, and it's coming up to, left it a bit late, it's coming up to about 6 o'clock in the evening, and another impromptu arrangement, change arrangements to come out this evening. Instead of pitching here with the tarp, and considering the path is right over that direction, I've got a good screen there with horizontal fallen trees and sort of areas around there as well. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to go really low profile just over there where you can see my rucksack, and what I'm going to do is sleep tonight in just my single hooped bivvy bag, the Dutch Army one that I did a review on a little while ago, and I'm just hoping that the weather's going to sort of hold off and be as it's supposed to be predicted, and to come over here. There's no rain predicted overnight, so you know, but there again, we never know. So I've got a backup of a small mini tarp poncho, which I'll use for sort of sitting up space. But basically what I'm going to do is my living space is going to be basically no shelter, but when I sleep I'll be in the bivvy bag. But I'll just show you a method to my madness as to, again, the alignment of where I'm going to be. So just behind me is where I'm going to potentially pitch with my hoops bivvy. But as you can see, just along there is the raised mound with a ditch going all the way along. So basically my western boundary, taking you back, is sort of here, so no one's going to take the effort to come over that. There's a smaller path, so if that's sort of like to my west, then northern sort of area, there's another path, but it's much smaller than the one that's to my south, which is the main path I've talked about before. So due to the fact that I'm going to set up just down here with my hoop bivvy, sitting space, I'm also, because it sort of opens up this way, my back, when I open up the bivvy bag to face that way, over that way, there's no path, but again there's sort of fallen trees that, unless anyone's going to sort of struggle to get over, again no one's going to be sort of coming into this area. And as I say, I've got this sort of holly bush here. So if I'm sitting with my back to the holly bush, I've got more of a broader spectrum of sight just here, you know, with less chance of people coming behind me. Not to say that won't happen, but it's more of a deterrent, as I say, where that trench and that raised mound is. So I can afford, I've got to have my back somewhere, so if I can't watch me six, I can see all around here. Plus as well, we've got the sun's going to come all over here from the morning. So if you imagine, obviously I'm standing, but if you imagine I'm sort of laying down here, when I open the bivvy it opens this way, so I'll get the sun first thing in the morning. And as I say, if I do get caught out in the rain, then I'll just, obviously I'll stay dry because I'll be in the Gore-Tex bivvy bag, but obviously getting in and out of it, what I might do is set up the poncho. I might actually do it anyway. There's my perspiration rag, little microfiber towel. It's normally used for wiping car windows, a quid from the pound shop. So I use that, I'll put that down the back in between my shirt and the foam aeration of the rucksack, so this gets more soaked up than my cotton t-shirt, because cotton obviously takes longer to dry out than maybe a wicking t-shirt that I normally wear, but I just fancied wearing this one today. But back to here, that's where I keep my poncho, always leave it in there, with also some waterproof trousers. The day you don't bring them is the day when you'll need them. So just for sort of another sort of half a pound more, it's in there. I think the total size of it, if I was to actually use it as a shelter, is just enough for one person to sit under. You'd struggle getting a lengthways to sort of sleep as a lean-to, but it'll be enough to cover my head, as I say, if there is any wet weather, but odds on it won't. Okay, doggy. Alright, dog. So yeah, this is another out there in the same location as I was this time last weekend, but a different setup, different purpose, and just for sleeping in the Gore-Tex bivvy bag for the sake of it, really, and just being low profile. Yeah, my dog. But I'm going to get set up now before it starts to get too dusky dark, then torchlight a few things up once I've got my pitch set up, and then you can see what it looks like in the dark with a torchlight on it. Okay guys and girls, what I've done is I've moved my kit and rucksack, which was over under this holly bush, and then of course me hooped bivvy's there, but I brought it the other side where this tree is. So I'm using it as a multi-upright rest really, where the rucksack is. You can see it's just there. So I've got this small poly tarp, which is only 6 foot by about nearly 3, and I normally keep it in the back of the car for Karsha, to put on the back seat and then put a fleece over it. But lucky enough it was still in the car, so I thought actually what I'd do, rather than use the poncho to cover all this stuff over when I go for a kip in the bivvy, I brought this with me, and then what I'll do is I'll just fold it over, but I'll show you in the morning how I'll cover it up. In all the change of arrangement rush to get out, I forgot to bring me a mug. I brought the normal 3 litres of water, but then in my food box I've got one of these vanilla dessert. Last week I had the chocolate one you saw me knock up and mix with some malted milk biscuits, which was really nice. I was going to have that fruit punch, but I'm going to leave that till later. I've got some bread wraps there, and I've also got a cheese, tomato and pickle one again here. But what I'm going to do is I've got some of this microwavable rice left over from eating it indoors. There's about 1/3 of it left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it with this Irish stew, which is tinned, and I'll just heat it up in that stainless steel mess tin. Then what I can do, I can use the tin, I'll sort of douche it out with boiled water, and I'll have to use that as a drinking vessel to make a brew later on, and also one for tomorrow. But what I've got for tomorrow's breakfast is some kippers, which actually I was going to put in a flameless ration heater, but I thought better of it because the plastic it's in. I'll show you that again in the morning anyway, but I thought maybe it might not be appropriate, so all I'll do is I'll put some water in the mess tin and sort of like boil that up, and then it can heat up the plastic bag kippers which are in there, and then I've got some bread and butter to go with it as well. Tonight it's nearly a full moon on Saturday the 15th of March 2014, but it'll be officially the full moon tomorrow night, Sunday. It's a fantastic, again, follow on from last weekend, and absolutely brilliant. You can't see the stars in the sky, but it's, take my word for it, the sky's really clear, and it's even milder than last Saturday. So that's why I thought, right, tonight I'll just sleep out and use the tunnel tent, and then just sit out without, I'm calling it a dome of no shelter. All over me where I'm sitting is going to be totally uncovered except for the sky and the branches above. So I've donned my green 4-pocket smock, and I got my, as you can see, a fleece underneath. That's on top of the t-shirt that I had on earlier on. So I've only got 3 layers at the moment. I did actually bring with me my, still in my rucksack, the British Army issue thermal liner. It's known in the military trade as the Kung Fu jacket. It's got no buttons on it, on my one anyway, so if I'm feeling a bit chilly I might put that one underneath this jacket. So I'll just give you a shot. I'm always sharing views of the moon. That's what I've come out. I mean, it's an ill full moon, as I say, the sky's clear, but it just looks a little bit different from the previous shot, I think, because it's just very, very, very thin, really thin. I'm talking like cotton wool pulled apart to its thinnest fibres type cloud, but of course the light is now resonating with a different sort of aura around it. Quality, priceless. Bring it on. Moonlit night, outdoors. You can see on Karsha there I've put 2 strap luminous rings. You can actually see them, and then I'll show you. They're actually made to go around your wrists. They're sort of for cycling. I thought, right, what I do, although she's got a little bit of an illuminous bit on her blue harness, I thought if I put those on as well, if she does go walkabout or she has a bit of a funny turn, you know, in the dark, then I can see where she's gone. And I won't need to really put the lead on her later, and then sort of keep the lead fastened to maybe one of the up-knot rights of the tree, because she's going to be well togged up with me in the bivvy. So anyway, I've got to get this food on the go. Got some pepper, also got in that little white sachet there on top of the Irish stew, one of the red, dried red pepper sachet sort of granules, a bit like the black pepper, which is from a famous burger takeaway. So I've got some black pepper there and some red pepper, which I think is from like a vegetable pepper, which I'm going to mix with that bit of tomato sauce, put that rice in it, eat it up in there on the pocket rocket. So I'm going to stuff my face now, get some calories down my throat. Oh yeah. Oh, doggy. Good morning. It's now Sunday. As you can see, I'm hooped up to the max. So gosh, kept her nice and warm. What a fantastic day. So let's get this day on the road. Okay, here's my sleep system inside the tunnel. It's the first time I've used this. It's a real cheap sort of compacted cellular foam back with reflective foil mat underneath, and as I say, it's the first time I've used that. I think with post and package it came to something like about £6 off of eBay, but it rolls up about the size of your forearm and weighs absolutely next to nothing. So I thought, well, I'll bring that and then put the normal 1.2 metre self-inflating mat. Oh, this is bomb-proof. This is, I love this mat. And I've got zipped up inside the tropical army sleeping bag. Karsh was on a little fleece there, and then of course just here inflatable pillow on top of my sit mat, which gave it a bit of stability, and just to raise it up a little bit because it's kept deflating a bit is some of the spare shelter kit, like some paracord bungees and that sort of thing, rolled up in my shelter bag and then that placed on top. So that was a sort of headrest just under the hoop. So as you can see, that bit of paracord I'd originally tied onto that little cross member just here. So I had a bit more foot room at the end. So when I zipped this up, it was more of a raised tunnel effect from my head to my feet. But of course, with the Kasha being inside on my right side, it sort of pulled the side that she was in, so I could only really sort of effectively do it up along the side. But it was quite nice actually, because I left the top open here. That little crude bit of stick just at the end here, which I tied onto a bit of paracord onto that bit of freestanding wood. Basically disconnected it and took it out of the clip-ons, which I'd actually put onto where it's been tape seamed on the inside where the stitching is, where this section is obviously sewn onto that section, because that was going to be stronger. So where the waterproof seaming was on the inside was obviously going to be a thicker surface for the clip-ons to actually grip onto. But I decided to disconnect it, take that little piece of makeshift stick out. So because Akasha was in the hooped BIVVY with me, it was creating a bit of a tautness, sort of pulling over that side a little bit, which was okay for the zip here. But then by the time I lifted up the foot end with that little makeshift contraption that I did, it was just feeling a bit awkward around my boots and sort of moving around, turning on my side if I was sleeping on my side. So I thought I'd dismantle that, and then it just gave me a bit of freedom of movement. If you've seen the full review of this hooped Dutch Army issue Gore-Tex BIVVY, especially when I was on overnight on a hill in minus 12 degrees, if you've seen that one as well, you'll have known that I actually made a piece of sort of bent spongy wire which sort of hooped over this. It was freestanding inside. So you can imagine if that end was zipped up, this would be higher. If this was zipped along here, this would have sort of more of a tubing, sort of half tube tunnel effect. So then just pulling that over, see if I can get you to see inside. Should be able to see it, but there it is hooped over there, so my feet could go underneath there, and my booted end was just down there. I think you can see where my finger's pointing. So that creates a temporary second hoop, so I had a little bit more space underneath without the Gore-Tex rubbing on me. Not that it'd been a problem, but I thought, well, try it out. And as I say, I've featured that before, but I didn't bring it with me. So, but considering the mildness of last night, it did the job. It didn't really matter about the surface of the Gore-Tex material resting on my sleeping bag. But sometimes it's nice just to have it sort of lifted a bit, so you've got a little bit more air inside rather than the cold contact of this. Hello, doggy. Did you have a good sleep? Yeah. Did you have a good sleep? 2 weeks on a trot outdoors, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. You're a good girl. Yeah. Camping canoe dog strikes again. Safari dog. You're a good girl. A makeshift drinking vessel. You just see cars drinking out of that. It was the corner of the electrolyte drink, and I sort of dug a sort of triangular type of hole just to insert it in. I'll just take a bit of grass out and just fill it with water. And considering we're only out for the 24 hours, it saved me bringing a sort of a drinking bowl or a bottle which actually fits into an insert, which you might have seen me use before as well, which you sort of lift the bottle up, squirt it, and then she can drink out of it. But rather than bring anything in transit, I thought, well, I can just use something. Sometimes I've used orange juice carton when I've finished drinking out of it, cut the top surface out, and it's been like a little rectangular vessel that I've rinsed out, and then she can drink out of that. Yeah, it did the job. Didn't it, dog? What are you sniffing? So on my zipper smock, I did actually put the British Army issue Kung Fu jacket and it really did the job. It's nice and thin, lightweight. It actually rolls up smaller than my sleeveless body warmer. But I knew I wasn't going to wear my body warmer while I was up and active, you know, before going to sleep. So I thought, well, I'll just have this literally as a layer for sleeping. So when I was up and active and before sleep and after, it's just the fleece top under my t-shirt with this jacket. But yeah, this did the job. So yeah, it's good. Kept me warm and snug. I've decided I'm not going to boil up some water to cook the plastic sachet of the kippers in. I'm just going to, that was to sort of absorb any condensation and also to use that as a wipe over towel, paper towel for wiping up residue on pots and pans and whatever. I'm going to put that back in the box now. And leave it on the base of the container. And the cheese, tomato and pickle bread wrap that I didn't eat last night, I'm going to have for my first meal of the day. Make a brew, put it in the old cleaned out Irish stew tin. But I'm going to keep that bit of fish out of the warm. I mean, it is really warm, but then still on the ground in the shade. I can keep that cool. So basically for my first meal is going to be that cheese wrap, a nice strong brew, bit of sugar, sweet tea drinker me, and also dunk some biscuits. So get some calories down the throat. Okay, as you can see, I got me heavy duty glove on to hold it because obviously it's hot. But what I did, I put 2 tea bags in to dull any sort of metal flavour. I know tin is not good to store food or drink in once you've actually opened the tin, you know, obviously the food's been cooked in and then sealed up. And then of course when you let air get to the metal, it's just advisable not to store food in an open air tin. So, but I think for this cuppa, this brew, it's worth the sacrifice. Oh God, no, it's fine. I'm kidding again. Spot on. Nice strong sweet cup of tea. Bring it on. Oh yeah, it's good. Okay, when I arrived early evening last night, was sort of showing you the terrain. It was just to sort of basically show you what I sort of read straight away when I go into an area. I try to sort of think of public access. The best place to be secluded from it. You know, as I was low profile with the HOOPED BIVVY, that was going to make me even more sort of out of sight, out of mind. But it was just really to sort of highlight what I read when I go into a terrain and sort of assess where public access is. And regardless of, you know, whether you've got permission or you're stealthing it, if there's public access on the land, like pathways, trails, tracks, bridleways, that sort of thing, you're going to come across people. Not to say I'm unsociable, far from it. Not at all. But you know, when I go out and do my thing, I just like to, you know, have no contact with people and just be in nature really, and that's what it's all about for me. You know, I'm not trying to preach to the converted or, you know, trying to tell people things that they don't already know. It's just sort of sharing my experiences, and you know, if people get a gist from it, then brilliant. You know, if it sort of inspires them to sort of get out there and think, oh yeah, maybe I hadn't really thought of that. Yeah, I'll actually go into the woods and find a place that's secluded and you know, just be outdoors for a little while. So the long and the short of it is really, It's just where I've located myself is the least accessible, and I did see someone actually coming off one of the smaller mud paths just over there, sort of where the tip of my finger is, and I happened to see them out the corner of my eye about nearly just over 100 metres away, about 150 metres away, because I had a white shirt on. No wonder I've got me drab colours. But you know, just sort of taking you around to where I am. So you can see it better in daylight. And I'll just give a method to madness why I used a bit of camo netting just here along my broadside, because obviously that's where I'm going to be in there. So with my back to my setup, as I said much earlier on, I'm sort of blinded behind me with the holly bush, so that sort of blends, well, holly tree really, that sort of blends me in. But with my back against where I'm pitched up, the broad length of area, which is, I'll just pan it, there's a path way over there, there's a path, as I said before, way over there. I've brought myself more into this middle bit where very seldom is there going to be anyone coming across this way. Of course, it's a longer visible distance for me to be visible on my length side, because I've got all this eye line along here. Whereas again, I'm not being pedantic about it, I'm just sort of explaining the method to my madness. And of course my foot end, there's less of me to see here, and there's also less of me to see here from sort of that direction, because there's lots of foliage screening as well. So I've now come further away from the setup, and as I say, my sort of broadside end, my head end to my foot end, and that's the sort of span that covers. And I'm sort of somewhere in there. So there we go, explaining my pitch again in relation to the hooped Gore-Tex BIVVY. So of course now where I'm sitting in relation to my pitch, I had the moon right up there, sort of came across virtually where the sun is now, and it was there about 2 in the morning, and then by about 5 o'clock it went right down there. I could still see about 4 or 5 o'clock, and the same route that the sun took. So you know, I was blessed with the warmth and the sun on a Sunday. So again, that was the reason for the alignment. So everything just sort of fitted in, just like a jigsaw puzzle. Looking at the terrain, looking at the viewable points, out of sight, out of mind, and then considering the weather, and then the moonlight, the sunlight, and just getting all the elements of the reason for being outdoors. Quality time. So this is sort of a follow-on weekend from last weekend, really, the same purposes, objectives behind it. Quick impromptu arrangements to get out, and as I say, to be talking all about this now. But I'd also really like to say my gratitude for the unexpected response. Loads of people, you know, I've got camping canoe dog, people with dogs take their dogs out, or just have, you know, pets in general. I've always made remarks in the past saying about how you know, it's great that you take your dog out with you, and you know, all the rest of it, and you know, she's able to share the outdoors with me, and you know, hence calling her safari dog, camping canoe dog, and you know, she's had some pretty good adventures. But as I say, the response I got from the previous video, main title, Out There, I really didn't, you know, I'm not the sort of person that puts statements up for, let's say, sort of sympathy, or You know, I don't talk politics, I don't air grievances, I just get on with my outdoor stuff, and you know, all personal issues I leave aside. I do get comments, or especially messages in the inbox when I'm able to trace them and be notified that I've actually got a message in the inbox. What can I do to sort of train my dog, or you know, things like that. So for a mixture of reasons, you know, to do with me sharing the experiences, people know that, you know, it's Maverick Outdoors and Safari Dog. I just thought I'd, you know, sort of explain just a few things why, you know, besides other obligations, but also I didn't want to be exposing Akasha to what I would call more extreme, you know, being out there doing stuff, you know, sort of in the canoe, which I hope to take her out in again soon. But it was because people sort of know of her. And because people know of her, I just thought I'd include that in the last video, you know, a canine story to tell, or a dog's tale. Spell it both ways, T-A-L-E or T-A-I-L. Either way, both apply. Because it's always wagging. But I was made aware of the comments by obviously the notifications via the email that YouTube sends you. And as I say, I'm really grateful for everybody's feedback. I mean, I wasn't expecting, I thought perhaps, oh, great to see a dog on the mend, but I got some, even down to some personal messages in the inbox, and also sending, you know, sort of quite personal and emotional little messages about their own experiences, and sending their well wishes obviously to the dog. Good girl. And you know, sending their wishes, and I'd just like to say, you know, at this particular point, I'm really grateful for everybody's response. I mean, it was totally unexpected. The explanation as to what happened wasn't to get a response, it was just to share, you know, my best outdoorsy mate, and what had happened, and she's pulled through it, you know, and the response was absolutely incredible. So I'd really like to say my heartfelt thanks to everybody for watching the video, making the comments, and just give me the feedback to do with this little blessed nature's creature. So to say that I'm really humbled and very grateful for everybody's response, and hope there's plenty of life in the old dog yet, and of course Akasha. And just chilling, relaxing, in the moment, in the zone of mindfulness, just being absorbed in the present moment. Not really, just zoning out. Feel a few odd shouts in the distance. Saw some bikes, mountain bikers, sort of dirt track bikes, sort of over yonder that way in the distance. I was surprised people actually going down because it's really muddy, and there were some kids with their family having to pick up the bikes and trudge through the mud. And again, just sharing a bit more sunlight with you, sort of, just so you can get the vibes, the feel of what it's like to be outdoors, why I'm doing it, why I'm here, where I am. And you know, it's not all about practicing your skills. Small aeroplane up there somewhere. Yeah, I do get requests to do sort of bits and bobs, but you know, Maverick Outdoors is all about what I do in real time. You know, it's not doing demonstrations sort of in my back garden, or you know, there's people out there doing really good stuff, doing demos of making bits and bobs and little penny alcohol stoves and all that sort of thing. I mean, I must admit that I'm interested in knowing that other people do it, because it's great that, you know, people are using from the simplest skills of making little hobo stoves and all that, which you'd have seen a couple of years back. I uploaded a video on my one made out of a tea and sugar stainless steel container. Yeah, and I've used that. I've sampled using a bow drill and all those sort of things, but I've not used them specifically or anything like that. You know, my outdoor activities, which is, you know, what my stuff's about really. Whether it's from, you know, trying to sort of forage for food, which I've included some aspects. I've talked about a little bit of foraging. You know, I have a sort of knowledge of it that's just right for what I would need in certain circumstances. Procuring wild kill, that sort of thing. But there's nothing that's, I think, that's conducive for me to include in my videos. You know, just air rifle shooting a pigeon for the sake of it and then showing you how to gut it. You know, there's loads of videos out there. Yeah, I do have permission to cull sometimes pigeons, and I do have a freezer with pigeon breasts in it, which I've procured myself. But you know, I'm not going to sort of start including certain things which are not connected to what I'm doing. So if I was out for 3 or 4 days and actually I was going to be hunting, or actually relying on the consumption of my food being based on what I could get from the wild, then you'd be seeing me set up snare traps, maybe a patchy trap, that sort of thing, and even a sort of a wooden-made drop cage out of hazel sticks, that sort of thing, you know. And all those things are really good skills to have, and you know, good to sort of practice. So sometimes, you know, if you sort of go outdoors to practice your skills, or you're just outdoors for the sheer sake of either, you know, taking a pack lunch with you, some tin food, a primus stove, just so that you can be outdoors. Oh, that's it, just barge through, dog. You've got priority. That's a good sign, chewing bits of stick. You got a stick, hey, you got a stick. And you know, for the majority of you that sort of follow my journeys, what have you, I will be getting out in the canoe soon. I've still got this repair to do on my Soviet Colorado, but so I'm sourcing to get a more heavy duty canoe. It's a shame really I couldn't have got hold of the test show reel before I did the National Geographic The Preppers first documentary, when me and Roach met up, and also they featured me in the canoe and what have you, to do with sort of prepping. And there was a sort of a test shoot they did, and I took them into a woods nearby, and it was the researcher and a director's assistant, and they came and visited me, and we did some test shots in the woods, which included me with a drop cage trap which I'd made out of garden wire and bits of hazel, also a atlatl spear, which is one of the most, I suppose, prehistoric forms of weaponry and hunting devices, which I'd actually made myself, and I showed them how I used that. Basic shelter. The principles of being a bit stealth, out of sight, out of mind, and all that sort of thing. And it showed some of the items that I actually made, and then that footage was shown to the producers, and then from that they assessed with other bits of information before I then obviously had the interview with the main director. But it's a shame they didn't include that, or I wasn't able to get my hands on that original footage of the test shot, or the test film. The filming they took to then have me on record to show to the production company, because it had some pretty hardcore stuff, you know, sort of real survival stuff. But the thing is, I don't use that when I'm out, so that's why I don't include some of those craft things. As I say, if I were to sort of light a fire with a bow drill, then I'll be including that and how to make it. I know how to make it, I've used one, but I've not used one sort of in recent videos and with my outdoor pursuits, you know. So but there's loads of really good people out there already doing that stuff, you know, pure just survival stuff. That will actually demonstrate it, but I'll tend not to demonstrate something unless I'm actually using it in situ to the circumstances I'm actually in doing in real time, you know. So, but anyway, this I'm demonstrating the art of being in the moment, relaxing. Oh, have a look at the sun again, go on. It is so warm and clement. But meanwhile, I'm just going to continue to just lay down for a little bit longer, then I'm going to pack up, put my stuff away, maybe find a log sofa to sit on for a bit longer, and then make my tracks. I'll just let you savour that sun for a little bit longer. Priceless. Okay, so it's coming up to about 4 Sunday afternoon, so I'm making tracks now to get out of these woods after a lovely 24 hours. So that weather's still brilliant. Got the old perspiration towel down my back, so it mops up the majority of the perspiration with that rucksack on my back, because I get hot really easily. So I mean, obviously that's great in cooler weather, but it ain't so good when it's in warm weather. But anyway, leave no trace as always. So thanks for joining me and Safari Dog on another little outdoors in it, getting out there. What can you sniff? Did you hear a dog? Did you? Yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah, so we're going to go home now. About a 45-minute trek, and then we're going home in the car, yeah? For your dog bed. Anyway, as always, really appreciate your interest. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you in another video soon. Cheers, take care.